Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in for another very interesting action-packed show. As in this week's episode, we're going to be discussing the topic of divination tools. Also in this week's episode, we have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees myself becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications through. And then later on in this episode, we have this week's forecast reading, which will hopefully help you navigate your way through the twists and turns of this week ahead. So let's dive straight into this week's topic, which is divination tools. So first of all, let's explain what I mean by this terminology. Well, divination tools, I would say, are tools that are of an energetic, sensitive nature, and they use sensitive materials such as crystals, such as copper, also such as bones, or specific items that have specific energies and intentions interwoven within them, so such as cards, such as boards, or things of that nature. And I'll go into that a little bit deeper later on during this discussion. But for now, it's basically what we're talking about is energetic sensitive materials being used to help, to guide, to inspire, and to extract information. I would say with using any form of divination tool that preparation is key. What I mean by that is clearing the said items or the spiritual tools, making sure they're always energetically clear to work with. Also setting intentions with these items. Yes, you can pick the items up and you'll get some sort of information from them, but it will, in my experience, it will be very willy-nilly, so to speak, non-specific. So with your intentions, you have to ask how you would like to, or intend to how you would like to use those tools, and what type of information are you looking for, and for whom. And so the more specific I found that you are working with divination tools, the more answers and information and help and healing and guidance you will get that is beneficial for one and all. So intention is definitely part of the process. Also using these tools with protection. Again, this goes back to preparation. So generally, when I'm using them, I will say a prayer. I will call in my guides. I will call in Archangel Michael, the Band of Mercy, and I will ask for protection whilst using these tools. And I will also put protection around the specific tools that I'm using as well. So I would say that all of these elements I've just described are key in order for you to get accurate results, healing, information, and guidance. If you're neglecting doing any of those things, yes, you will get the information, but as I say, it will be very wishy-washy, non-specific. So if you do the preparation and do everything I've said there, that will generate more information for you. With this being said, I would say you need to have a great understanding of yourself before you even begin to contemplate using any divination tools. And what I'm talking about when I'm saying that is that you need to understand what you like as a person, what you don't like. Also, on an emotional level, are you strong as a person emotionally? Are you overly sensitive? Do you get triggered by different opinions of others, judgments? Do you get triggered by emotions and energies? Also, know you as a person mentally as well, you know, how your brain works, what what you focus your time and attention on in your mind there, and also how you feel on an emotional level and also on a physical level. By getting to know you as an individual, this will certainly put you in an advantage point. And what I mean by that is because whilst using divination tools, obviously energy and spirit interact and frequency interact with those tools. And that can change your perception of self very quickly, very easily. And so it's good to have an understanding of yourself. So you have that reference point so you can say, hang on a minute, this isn't me. I don't normally think those thoughts. I don't normally feel those emotions or those sensations. And as I'm working with this divination tool and I'm asking for intentions of specific information to come through, then because I don't always think, feel, and sense those emotions, now I've asked for it using this divination tool, I'm experiencing it. So it must be information coming from that tool to enable me to bring forward information. And at this point, when you have that understanding of yourself, you can then begin to recognize the subtle nuances that the energy is bringing into your vibration in order to tell a story, in order to give information for you to share, in order to help the situation that you've inquired about. So it is very important that before you use any divination tools, you have that, I would say, knowing of self. You have set some healthy boundaries around yourself, what you will and what you won't accept, because it's good to have that in place before you start using it. Otherwise, potentially, you may interact with certain individuals in spirit or energies that have an alternative motive to try and trick you in some way. So having some boundaries set, that will save you a lot of, I would say, trauma. Definitely. Okay, so moving on there. Connecting with divination tools, you can connect with different realities and spirits in order to gain information. And this can get very, very interesting when we dive deep into this, particularly when we're picking up on different realities. So it's fascinating what you can find when you're focused with intention and you're asking with clear intention what you can pick up. You can pick up various, shall we say, energy trails of either people, animals, spirit. You can pick up portals, vortexes. You can sense water. You can also pick up people's emotions, their thought energy, whether they're in their physical body or whether they have made their transition into spirit. You can pick up all of this detail, all of this information. You can even gather information from specific locations, buildings, properties, and items, again, using divination tools. So it depends what you're looking to achieve by using the divination tools. And what your intentions are. But it's certainly interesting. There's never a dull moment. But as I said earlier, you have to have a grounding, I would say, a knowledge within this line of work, such as, mediumship, also energies and psychology and emotions and all of that sort of thing. You have to have some sort of grounding within that. I mean, obviously, anybody can use divination tools. Of course you can. You just pick them up and you use them. But as I said earlier, will you be using them correctly? Will you be getting the answers that you need? Will you be getting the healing that you need? More than likely, if you haven't got this background and understanding and respect for energetic, spiritual matters, and things of that nature, then potentially you won't get as much clarity as what you would with having that knowledge base. So let's talk about various tools that we can use when I'm talking about divination tools. So the first tool I'd like to talk about is dowsing rods. Now, dowsing rods are fascinating. They're absolutely incredible. They pick up on energy. Spirit energy can actually manipulate these in order to move the rods to give a yes or no response. Generally, when I'm working with the dowsing rods, I always ask for a marker, so show me your yes, or I'll ask it specifically, can you cross the rods for a yes response? Can you separate the rods for a no response? And once I've assigned those two of those things, then I can begin to work with the rods. First of all, in my experience, it's good to have your own set of rods so that you can form an energetic bond with and build up that sort of energetic relationship with. And what I mean by this is every time you pick up those rods, it will work. It hasn't got to find your frequency. It hasn't got to, labor too hard to work with your energy because you've already got that instilled within it. Also, what I do before using these is I clear and heal, clean, clear, cleanse and heal the rods. And so I do this by tapping on them and I say clean, clear, cancel, delete. And then I ask for information to come through of the purest, highest vibration. And then what I also do is I call in Archangel Michael and the Band of Mercy to open the rods up, that only the highest accurate evidential information can come forward. And then I ask for the rods to be cleared, again, with Archangel Michael and the Band of Mercy at the end of the session. And what this does is it stops any of those, shall we say, lingering energies that are attached to either that location, that specific job that you're working on, and it allows that energy to be removed so that you are refreshed, ready to work and interact with new vibrations every time. That way you're not carrying around old energy. So dowsing rods, as I say, they're fantastic. They can be used actually to locate a spirit and follow the energy trails of a spirit. And the rods will, if you ask the specific questions, you have to be asking correct questions. So you have to be very mindful of what you're asking. And the rods can direct you, literally point to where you need to be heading. And you simply follow the rods and you walk, you follow them. And then when they give you a specific location, you ask, is this the location? And then the rods will either cross for a yes response or they will separate for a no response there. And so you can get some marvelous answers there. And you can use this if you're looking for something, if you've lost something in particular around the home, it may be a set of keys or something like that. You can pick up the dowsing rods and ask specific questions and get the directions where you left those keys or whatever item you've lost. They're very useful in that respect. But also they're useful in order to determine where there are portals or vortexes. And this is where spirit can come in and out of their dimension into our dimension. And potentially this is where, shall we say, lower base spirits can cause quite a lot of havoc. They can come in and out at random. And if those portals or vortexes are continually open, they can come in and out undetected, cause a bit of havoc, leech off of energy, create fear responses, and generally cause havoc within that location. Not every spirit does that, because there's some portals that are open that are for healing, for higher purposes, communication, for spirit loved ones, friends and family to come in. And what they will do when they come in, they'll come in and they'll bring forward that healing, that encouragement, that guidance, putting the songs in your head there, giving you those words of encouragement and that feeling, that get up and go feeling. So there's positive and negative with portals and vortexes, but using the dowsing rod, it will certainly help you, if you're not sensitive yourself, to ascertain where these are located within either the property or location you happen to be investigating. And also you can locate water, running water there as well. So in fact, this is how a lot of the ancient ones used to locate wells and find streams of water and beds of water underground there. And they would use and ask specific questions to the rods, and then they would find that, and 9 times out of 10 they would get the results that they were after. But I like to use dowsing rods personally for guidance, for wisdom, for communicating with spirit and inviting positive, loving spirits forward, including my guides, my inspirers, the people I work with in spirit. When I'm faced with some, I would say, very frustrating decisions to make in my life, where I'm second guessing myself, where I'm hearing information from my guides, but choosing to ignore it and focusing on my own thoughts in my mind. This is where I'll use the dowsing rods, and I'll ask very open and very honest questions that will deliver a yes or no response in order to gain the answers that I need, whether I need to hear them or not, whether I like the information or not, so I have that unbiased response. And so I'll ask the rods, I'll make a note of the responses, the questions I've already written down prior to having this session with the rods. And then that way I can assess the information, and this can guide me on my path in my life. It can give me some unbiased wisdom, if you understand what I mean. And what I mean by that is obviously my mind's not influencing it. The rods that I have, they have, I would say, like copper sleeves over the rods, and you put your hands on the copper sleeves. And this way, there's no way of you physically moving the rods, because the rods move independently of the sleeves that you're holding on to, if that makes sense. And so you know definitively, because you've done your preparation work, you've asked with intention, you've set some questions there for the rods, that you're going to get these responses back. So it's a great way of finding out information if you're in a bit of a jam there with your life. Also, talking about divination tools, we have pendulums as well. Now, pendulums can be made out of various different materials. Predominantly, most of them are crystal-based, and they have a chain attached. And this chain you can hold, obviously, and you let the pendulum dangle. And again, you set the preparation work, you cleanse the item, you ask for the angels to come in, and you ask for only the highest vibrational energy and evidential information to come forward. But again, with the dowsing rod, you need to understand what your marker is for a yes response, a no response, or a maybe response. So you simply call out to the pendulum or the crystal in question, and you ask it, please, can you show me your yes response? Now, it can be different for the individual. It can go in a clockwise direction for a yes, an anti-clockwise direction for a yes, up and down for a yes, left and right for a yes. Just pay attention to, once you ask that question, what is the crystal doing? It may take a little bit of time to gain that momentum, to build up that energy in order to give you that response, but have some patience. And then obviously you want to find out, again, asking the pendulum or the crystal, what is a no response? And again, this could be anything, but it will be obviously completely opposite to the yes response. So just be patient, observe, and then make a mental note of what direction the pendulum is swinging for a no response. And then a maybe, again, you do the same thing. Can you show me a maybe response or an unsure response? And then you look, observe the pendulum or crystal, make a mental note of that. And at that point, when you have attained all of that information, you can then start your line of questioning. And pendulums are a great tool. Again, if you're a little bit confused, or people around you are a little bit confused and they need some clarity, some definitive guidance. We've all had it where we're not sure, shall we, shan't we? And sometimes we need that little bit of a push to encourage us to make a decision. Now, pendulums, like the dowsing rods, are brilliant in order to do that. And so as long as you're being respectful, you do the preparation, and you open and you close down the pendulum after use as well, similar to the technique to the dowsing rods, then everything will work out beautifully. And I would say if you're doing a session, it's great to record it, vocally, and you can record that, say, on a phone or something like that. And then you can listen back to after the session, again, just to instill that clarity either within you or whoever you're happen to be using that pendulum with. You can use it, obviously, for spirit responses as well. Spirit will interact with it, and you can get some dialogue from any spirits if you're, investigating a location by the use of pendulums, where you can, using specific questions with a yes or no response, you can get clarity and answers about them as well. So it's a means of communication. It's also, pendulums are great to use with your chakra system and your energies, your vibration. So if you're feeling a little bit down, you can use a pendulum and ascertain if your chakras are blocked or they need some more clearing or more energy by simply placing the pendulum in front of the chakra and just observing the way that it's moving. Obviously, a yes response would mean positive, everything is all right. A no response would indicate that there's a block or there's something not quite right with that chakra. And so that will give you the information that you need in order to think, right, okay, I'm going to work with that chakra because it's blocked. And you've got that visual representation of that. So pendulums are a great tool to use. They're a great help for healers and sensitives as well. I'm going to quickly talk about this because it's not something I like to promote, and this is spirit boards, or Ouija boards as they're more commonly known. Now, you can have communication with these, obviously done correctly in the correct circumstances, with the healing, with the protection. But for me, I don't advertise using them. I don't use them simply because the amount of locations that I've gone to, and I've done a house cleanse and a healing within that property, and a lot of the time it's because either previous occupants or people in that vicinity at some point have used either a homemade spirit board or a Ouija board, and they've opened it up and they haven't done it correctly. They haven't said any prayers. They haven't asked any angelic beings or protection or anything like that. They've done it whilst under the influence of alcohol or drugs, so that has heightened their perception. And obviously those elements lower your vibration, drugs and alcohol. So you're going to be attracting lower base frequency energies and entities. And so my experience of the Ouija boards and spirit boards are in various properties and locations where they've opened them up, they've used them, they've been under the influence, they've had a laugh, they've had an entertaining evening, and then they've not closed it down properly. And what they've done there, in effect, is they've opened up a portal between alternate realities and this reality. And those vibrations that they have attracted, lower base frequencies, have now been granted permission to come in and out whenever they please into that location. And in doing so, they've caused havoc. They've played on people's emotions. They've created arguments, which in turn creates a fear response, which is what a lot of these entities feed off of. So I certainly would not recommend it because, like I say, I've had to go in there. I've cleansed and healed the properties and also located the portals where these specific items have created them. And I've had to, with the help and the guidance of Archangel Michael and the Band of Mercy, we've closed them down and we've healed that location as a result there. So I don't endorse using them at all. So another divination tool would be tarot or oracle or angel cards, whatever preference you feel aligned with using. And this is something that I use quite regularly, working with clients, giving readings, one-to-one readings, and things of that nature. And so I find they're very helpful. They're a wonderful tool, and they're wonderful for you to have, I would say, a physical representation of the information that you are picking up with your spiritual gifts and abilities. It's a great way to connect with the client, get the client involved in the reading, and also with doing that, it amplifies the energy within that reading to attract more information and more healing that they need at that time. But they're a great tool to use because you can, as you're probably aware, they're very helpful in obtaining healing, in terms of obtaining physical interpretations of what you're describing there, which again makes the client feel involved. They're great for giving guidance and additional support and information, and evidential information in some cases there as well. And I would say all of these cards contain specific symbology, numerology, color code, vibration and frequency, and intentions with each one of the cards. There's a specific value energetically. So whoever's using them should ideally have a knowledge base and understanding of, like I said earlier, their sensitivity, themselves as a person, and also have an understanding of symbolism, numerology, and wordplay, and just be able to, in order to interpret the cards, basically to extract as much information that they can in order to help heal and guide whoever they happen to be working with. So they're a great tool that you can use in conjunction with your natural sensitivity and your spiritual gifts and abilities, along in concert with your spirit guides and helpers, which will, again, they will influence and help you use the spiritual tools of the Tarot Oracle or Angel cards there. They're fantastic. I use them a lot with clients. And like I say, you don't need to use them because your sensitivity, your connection with your spirit guides, they'll be able to bring forward a reading and the information for your client without using them. But they're a wonderful tool in order to, again, pull the client or your sitter into the reading and open their vibrations up so that you can have additional support, energy and information and healing coming in during that session. So also there's runes or bones as well that can be used as divination tools. Now, I have runes, and I'll be honest with you, I've only used them a few times, and the way that I've worked with them, not in the traditional sense where there's meanings and symbolisms on the runes, and they represent various situations, scenarios, and meanings. I haven't used them like that. I use them more of a psychometrizing object. So I will throw the runes in relation to asking a question for the client, and I will pick up the rune that I'm guided to, and I'll hold it in the palms of my hands, and I'll feel into the feelings, the emotions, the energies, and I will describe that to the client. So that's the way that I work personally. I've only used them a few times. It's not something I go to a lot, to be honest, but that's the way that I work with them if I am called to do so. But there's practitioners out there that actually use animal bones as well. And in fact, that's where the runes originated from, supposedly. And so, again, they can throw the bones, and depending upon a specific pattern or sequence or order in which the bones land and the shapes of the bones and the intricate markings on the bones and all of that, then the reader will interpret that and bring forward information and guidance and wisdom in order to bring forward a reading or some sort of healing for that client or individual. So they can be great to be used in forms, in a way where you can communicate with spirit, with energy, by asking a question with intention and then throwing the bones and then reading that as their message, interpreting the way that the bones have landed and specific detailing on the bones will bring forward information from that spirit being. So again, this is something that I don't particularly use, but I've heard of people using it with great success, and it's an old divination tool going way, way, way back to the original origins of them as well. So divination tools, as you've probably heard, they have a purpose, obviously, in the work that we do as sensitives, as mediums, as investigators. And I would say used correctly, they can be an asset to you and the work that you're doing. But if in the wrong hands, as with anything, they have the potential to cause havoc, chaos, confusion, emotional distress, mental disorders, physical harm as well. You know, it's worth stating that. It's not something I like to talk about, obviously. But if you are contemplating giving it a go or using any of the tools that I've described to you, I would certainly recommend that you consult either a professional, somebody that works with them and has a great respect and understanding of them. Then that way you'll be using them correctly, bringing forward that evidential information, bringing forward that healing that you need, and you'll reap the benefits, as also your clients and the people around you will as well, because you'll be using those correctly, safely, in a wonderful setting there. So when used with respect and clear intentions, divination tools, like I say, can be an asset to any sensitive. So I hope this has given you something to consider if you are thinking about taking your sensitivity to the next level and gaining information, help, guidance, or healing. Then maybe this might be something that you want to pursue further. Again, I would always recommend that you go to a professional, somebody that uses them and has a healthy respect and knowledge for divination tools before you go about using them. How is everybody doing? I hope we're all well. We're going to move into the next section in a moment, but before we do that, I'd like to check in with yourselves and see how your week's been and what have you been up to. I know I've been certainly busy, and life seems to be getting very, very fast, very, very busy, and before we know it, we're at the weekend again. It seems to be that quick for me at the moment, and I've got to be honest, there's a lot of planning that I'm doing behind the scenes, and actually I'm having to plan to make time to plan. It's getting that crazy there as well, both on an energetic level, mentally, emotionally, physically. My life has been, it's all at the same time. And so I'm having to micromanage myself a little bit better than perhaps I have done in the past there. So have you been noticing these changes, that life seems to be speeding up and we're cramming so much in what I would perceive as a short period of time? Anyway, also what I've been witnessing this week, over the last 2 weeks now, and it seems to be ramping up in terms of activity. And this is, I keep seeing orbs of light, different colors from spiritual energy, and I keep seeing blue orbs. I've seen flashes of light at the corner of my eye. Sometimes I'm looking at something and I can see a direct blue orb right in front of somebody, and then I'm seeing purple as well. And then it lasts for a split second, and then that energy disperses and goes back into the ether. So that's been very interesting. I've certainly noticed that. I've also noticed feelings as well when I've been out and about. They seem to have been amplified on some level. And I can tolerate various locations more so now. So obviously the protection that I advise people to put on is certainly working. But I have noticed, collectively, when I'm out and about, there is a shift in consciousness, and people, this is no disrespect to anybody, but people seem to be a little bit confused in their own sort of bubble there, meandering along. And, I've seen people trip over, people like not knowing certain items were right in front of them. Again, a lot of people aren't being present at the moment, and I've got to put my hands up. At times I'm like that. And in fact, at the moment I'm recording this, I'm actually considering reaching out and getting my grounding stone. And what basically this is it is a stone that I was drawn to pick up when I was in Wales, Llandudno, a few years ago now. And this stone has been smoothed down by the ocean, and it looks like it was Welsh slate originally. And it's been smoothed down to the point where I can pick it up and it fits in the palm of my hand, fits to the curvature of my thumb, and I flip it round and it does the same on the other hand. So it was a perfect match, a perfect fit. Anyway, what I use my grounding stone, as you can probably imagine, is when I'm feeling a little bit out of it, when I'm feeling a little bit floaty, a little bit dreamy, being forgetful, not noticing things, then I grab the grounding stone. I either hold it for a while or I put it on in my pocket there and I walk around with it for part of that day. And what I find that the energies within that stone and the intentions that I set, the purpose of that stone, obviously a grounding stone, that it anchors my energy. It makes me more aware of my present moment consciousness, and it stops me drifting off into dream world and feeling floaty, which is a beautiful experience, as I'm sure you'll all agree, and I encourage people to have that experience, such as going into meditation and walking meditation while you're awake. But sometimes we have to, get things done in this world, don't we? We have to exist in this dimension and the other dimension. And so the grounding stone enables me to come back down to earth, so to speak, and to do those random tasks, doing the life admin, the house admin, the daily duties, looking after bills and all of that sort of thing. It gets me present, and also it helps with me being more organized, being grounded as well. It allows me to focus in a little bit deeper than perhaps I have done previous. So I've been having those encounters over the last week or so, and I just wanted to put that out there to see if anybody else has, and it's not just me cracking up, so to speak. So anyway, we're going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit. This sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdom and communications through. And this is the part of the show that I really enjoy, because I have no knowledge who's going to come through and what information they're going to deliver to you all. So I'm very excited to hear what's coming through, because I don't recall any of the information that comes through from spirit. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's channeling.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak through you today. My name is David Evans, and I have been brought forward with the task of making you aware of the strength of the human soul and the spirit and your resilience. A lot of you are quite happy to throw in the towel and say, that's me finished, that's me done. When in actual fact, the resilience of the human spirit goes far beyond anything you've ever even comprehended up until this point. We bring this up to the surface for for you to evaluate where you're at in your life, because there is a changing time, as you're all aware, as all of you are experiencing on some level, where the old God or the old version of Earth is now slipping away, and we're moving into the new vibration of society. There's going to be lots of shifts and lots of changes in all of the areas in which you happen to involve your energy. And we're talking about every one of you will have a connection to financial situations, to rules and regulations, to homes, to housing, and to governance, and all of these aspects, the food that you consume and where you consume it. We could go on with this list, but we do not wish to bore you. You understand what we're referring to. So there's going to be substantial changes in every area of your life, and it's going to be very confusing to a lot of you. And we say this is where the strength and resilience of the human spirit will come into play, because we're telling you today, we're advising you, not telling you, to hold your nerve and hang on in there, because things are about to turn for the better. But what you will be noticing is the old being removed shift. The old energy is shifting. The old ways of things, how they used to be, are going to go by the wayside. And that can leave a lot of pandemonium, a lot of panic, a lot of fear in your society when this does happen. And indeed it is happening now, but it's ramping up on a day-to-day basis to reach a crescendo where enough is enough and all must change, and it will change. But during these periods of time where you are feeling pushed to the edge, you're in the vibration, or certainly encouraged to be in the vibration of fear, we implore you to hold that resilience, hold that nerve, and stay strong and steadfast in the truth that you're going to be more than all right. You're going to succeed and you're going to excel in everything that you put your vibration into. So with us saying this, we encourage you to be mindful and observant where you're placing your time, your energy, and your attention, because it is that is going to be your dominant focus within your life, and it will come up and you will experience those things. So we encourage you to keep your vision pure and strong, and also have a flexibility, because as we say, a lot of things are going to change far beyond your recognition of what you can rely upon. There's only one thing that you can truly rely upon, and that is your connection to Source. And that connection to Source is always there if you give it credit, or if you don't and you ignore it. It's always there. When you place your focus and your belief system that it is always there, this is when things begin to change. And things will move in an incremental fashion, and you'll be given evidence along the way that you are connected to Source, whether this is in repetitive thoughts, signs, meanings. You will get clear communication that you are connected to Source energy. We're talking to God Source, whatever terminology you wish to use, Father God or whatever. We're talking about the energy that glues everything and everyone and created everything in creation. We're talking about that vibration. You are all connected, and a lot of you forget that, and you fall into the trap of separation, where you have been controlled to understand that somebody else is different from you and they're different from you, and then you create your tribes, and then these tribes go against one another and go into fear mode, and that's why you've been separated. But we assure you, you are all connected, and we want to remind you of that fact. Moving forward then, what we want to also communicate with you today is to ignore what is going on around you to pull your energy down. Feel into your heart on a daily basis and understand that this is going to be your navigational system that's going to catapult you forward and keep you on the trajectory of your timeline of your life's purpose. If you ignore these feelings, then assure us that things will get a little bit choppy weather for you. So it's in your greatest advantage to listen to Source and trust the wisdom of your heart. We would also like to inform you that, as we say, great changes are coming, and it doesn't matter where you happen to be situated around the globe, it will have a ripple effect, so everybody will experience it on varying levels. But a lot of you that are listening to this will be certainly seeing the change in society. It will start with people's mannerisms, people's belief systems will change. The way that people have a different respect for one another will start to change. All positive, you understand. And we implore you not to listen to warmongering or anything of that nature, because that will zap all of your energy and leave you as a shell of a being, quaking in your boots and emitting fear-based energies. We do not want that for you whatsoever. But excuse me, but I've come forward. My name is George Kennedy, and I've been given permission to have a few quick words, and I wanted to tell you that in the up and coming months, you are all going to feel the shift in your vibration. You'll notice that you will be very forgetful with your thoughts in your mind, and you will no longer form attachments to these thoughts, because you are working in a now present moment consciousness basis. In other words, you will be responding to how you feel, how you think, and how you interact in the world in a now moment consciousness. Now, this will be very enlightening to a lot of you. It will be very confusing for a few of you there, but you will benefit how life is beautiful, and you will understand the creation of life when you stay in this vibration of the present moment. So, I'm sorry for butting in and coming in halfway through a transmission, but I was ushered forward to make you all aware of this fact. So I'm going to leave you, and I send my thanks, sincere thanks, on the previous communicator, and I'd like to say thank you also, and it's been a pleasure to come forward, albeit brief and short. I do hope that the information within this transmission has given you something to think about ahead of these changes occurring for you all. We send you our love, and we look forward to our future endeavors together. God bless you all, and we'll speak very, very soon.
Fantastic communication there from the world of spirit. It's always nice to have that reminder that we are all stronger than we think we are. And also that we're all collectively moving into new timelines. So release that stronghold, that grip on the old way of doing things. And in doing that, we're going to face more ease and grace moving into these new collective timelines there. Have faith and courage as well. Hold your nerve, stand your ground, so to speak, where it comes to being resilient to, I would say, this pivotal change that is occurring to us all. What I mean by this, and what Spirit mean by this, is don't back down. Don't settle. Don't settle for second best. You are worthy. You are deserving there. And have faith that everything's going to work out beautifully for you as the old energies are being removed from our reality. And these energies can be anything like the old principles, the way that society works, the rules, the regulations, even going back to our own core values, our belief systems, whether they're subconsciously programmed within us or whether these are belief systems that we're consciously aware of and we're just utilizing them out of habit. But it's nice to have that encouraging message from Spirit there. And also that everybody will experience this situation on varying degrees, varying levels, obviously depending upon where you are at vibrationally and what you will and what you won't accept. Obviously, we all have the gift of free will, so we can make that choice on a personal level there. I really enjoyed the way that the second communicator blended there. That was quite unusual to hear that occurring at that moment in time. But again, it was very nice to hear their message saying that we'll all become slightly forgetful as we're moving into these vibrations, and we'll all honor and treasure the present moment consciousness, and we'll feel that level of gratitude as we start to appreciate life in our now moment consciousness. So fascinating communication from the world of spirit. We're now moving on to the next section of the show, which is this week's forecast reading to hopefully help you navigate your way through the twists and turns of this week ahead. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday the 14th of April 2025. Now, those of you that have watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot card. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out for this week's forecast reading. Right on cue. This is this week's card, so let's tune into that. Okay, so the feelings I'm getting for you for this week is there's going to be you actually making space for change occurring in your life. And what I mean by this is you'll be letting some of the old belief systems go. You'll be having a clear out with the friends and associates. And this is not to be unkind by saying these words. I just feel as though it will be the natural order of selection. It will just happen naturally, and there'll be nothing that you can do about it other than focus on the new that is entering your life. Pay attention to having a very sweet tooth this week, as I feel as though there will be these cravings for sweet foods. And don't worry about it. I just feel that this is your energy and your vibration changing, and it needs that little bit of a boost and of an upset there with your vibration, because I do sense there's going to be a lot of changes in the atmosphere, and you'll find that your energy will be ebbing and being drawn away from you because of this. Nothing to worry about. You will always get that energy back. So just hold faith, have trust, and just follow your natural curiosity and urges there. I do sense also that within this week, there's going to be some noticeable changes with your physical body. And I feel with this, you'll notice that your feet will be feeling really, really hot. And I feel that this will be the first thing when you get up in the morning. And this is because you'll be releasing some of those old energies while you sleep. And they're going to flow through the soles of your feet in order for them to be released and let go of, so that you can embody more high vibrational frequencies in your day-to-day life there. Now, this week will also see you all opening up slightly in your heart vibration. What I mean by this, I feel as though you'll be caught unexpectedly, actually letting your guard down. And when you do that, you'll notice that love, passion, romance has the potentiality to start and blossom and open up in your life there. And this doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship, whether you're married, whether you're single, whatever your preferences are. I just feel as though there will be an opening, an opportunity, an unexpected one for these vibrations to enter your life. And it's going to be welcomed because it's going to make you feel happy, like you're walking on air. You're going to let your guard down, as we've said, and you're also going to see life through, I would say, rose-tinted glasses. And I want to add to that by saying an about time too, because a lot of you that are watching this, you've been taking each day as it comes, and almost you've been robotic with your emotions. You haven't been expressing them, allowing the true essence of who you are to be witnessed there. So it's a blessing in disguise in many respects, because it will see you tapping into those emotions. I've also got to say that this week will see you speaking your truth more so than perhaps you have been doing. And this is not to say that you don't speak your truth, but I just feel as though you're going to be open and honest, almost straight to the point, very direct with your communications. So rather than worrying about what people think or say, you're just going to tell them straight out, no, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I can't help you with that. And, that's just an example, but I just feel as though you're not going to waste anybody's time, including your own this week, because you'll have a more direct approach in life. Pay attention. I feel as though there's going to be some stirrings around the stomach area. What I feel this is it's your intuition kicking in and energy interacting with yours. And you'll find yourself second guessing your hunches. However, you are being encouraged to go with the flow, go with the truth of that energy. What is that energy telling you? It's magnetically drawing you to new projects, people, places, or events. So trust it, because this is for the greater good. Okay, let's turn over the card for you. So the card at the top there, we have the letter P. To me, that indicates, nobody likes to hear this word, patience. Have patience. And I feel as though the things that you're wanting to manifest and bring into your day-to-day life, you can always see them, taste them, touch them, smell them, but they're not actually in your life at this moment in time. My guides are saying, be patient, wait till summer, the best is yet to come. You will see, you will see. This side of the card at the top, we have what I would describe as a whirlwind, if you can see that there. To me, this is things, a little bit of turbulence, but it's done for a reason. It's to shake up the old energy. So turbulence is coming into your life, and again, it's done on purpose to remove some of those old energies so that you can see that there's a better way of doing things and a better way of interacting in your life. So have faith, have patience. This is done for you to serve you. Okay, so reading the inscription at the bottom, it reads, logical, perceptive, insightful, blunt, an exciting intellectual challenge, brilliant insights, information that you need but might be challenging to receive. Review all documents very carefully there. So a beautiful inscription at the bottom. I'm not going to add to that. All I can say, there's remnants of what my guides were saying earlier in connection with that sentence there. But what I am going to do is I'm going to link into the vibration of the beautiful colour around the edge. To me, it's almost green. It's nearly green, but it's not quite green. So to me, that represents you stopping yourself, diluting yourself, and trying to fit in with everybody else. You're not meant to fit in with everybody else. You're unique in your own vibration. So stop doing that. This card is also telling you, the colour green, to go for it. Stop holding yourself back and to say what you want rather than holding on to those things, and say what you desire. And you'll be surprised how many people align with that you're speaking about. This card is also saying that there's new growth coming into your life. However, you've got to be gentle, take one step at a time, and in doing so, you'll notice that you'll be taken to your destination one step at a time, incrementally. So looking into the artwork, we've got this young gentleman there looking very relaxed, I would say, very confident in that. So he's telling you the masculine energy, relax that urge to control and manipulate and get things done, and instead rest into life, relax into life, and allow the universe to work for you and with you. Like we were saying a little bit earlier, everything is meant for you. Everything's going to serve you. This gentleman is also holding a sword there, but he's holding that sword down. So this would indicate cord cutting. Take your time. It's telling you to relax. Relax your guard there, and everything will be taken care of for you. There's lots of butterflies around this gentleman, so that would indicate change. The fact that these butterflies are blue would indicate change in the way that you communicate with other people and the way that you communicate your emotions, your true authenticity. That's going to change this week. There's going to be a new level of confidence occurring for you. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 butterflies, 11 butterflies on this. So can you research the angel number 11, as I feel that will give you some distinctive information for this week. The fact that this gentleman is sitting rather comfortably on a rock there is telling you to ground and anchor your energy, because this week you will feel a little bit lightheaded, a little bit out there, daydreaming a lot of the time, and it's telling you to get yourself out in nature, to anchor your energy and to get yourself present. So that's what I picked up for this week's forecast reading. Thank you for hearting, liking, commenting and sharing. If you've enjoyed this reading and you would like to help and support the work that I do, I have got a Buy Me a Coffee link either above or below this video. And this is a virtual tip jar, so all of your generous donations will be gratefully received in order to help on the spiritual pathway. Also, if you'd like to book in with any of my services, either one-to-one private readings or anything like that, then you can click on the link above this video or beneath this video, or it's in my bio, or ideally go over to my website www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com and you can book in with me directly there. Join me every Monday 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on all of my social media platforms with my radio show called From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking about all things spiritual, paranormal and self-help. Have a blessed week, everybody. Take care. Bye for now.
Well, it certainly sounds like we're in for an interesting week this week, doesn't it, for us all? And I particularly liked where they spoke about romantic and love vibrations coming up to the surface. All I'll say is it's been a while. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the content and the information that's been brought from Spirit and channeled from Spirit. And I hope that you've maybe learned a little bit of something new that you can embody into your daily life. If you have any questions for the show, please contact me at www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can email me at glennboddice@live.co.uk. In the meantime, have a wonderful week. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you the same place, same time, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time with From Beyond. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium